For real estate teams and brokerages, managing all of your technology and logins can often feel like you're managing a lot of chaos between your CRM, your transactions, calendars, tasks, training, onboarding, websites, conversions. I'm just listing a few of them. It's easy for agents that you're onboarding or your existing agents to get overwhelmed. Your onboarding can get messy and adoption can just stall. So that's the problem that StackWrap is building to solve. So I'm joined today by Max and Dan, who will be sharing the StackWrap platform and what it's built to help agents and teams and brokerages and help them scale. So Max and Dan, thanks so much for joining me today to share exactly what StackWrap does and why you built the platform. Before we dive into the specifics of the platform, I love for you to share a bit about the journey of StackWrap. That's what we talked about during our original conversation. What was the problem that you were specifically facing, Max? Because I know you, before you built this in tech, you have your own brokerage.
Yes. Thank you for having me on. This is really fun. So it's the way StackWrap came about is in the context of my real estate brokerage. So when we just started the company, we were an independent shop. We were based in Los Angeles. And specifically at the time, Compass was really starting to explode in LA. This was probably 2016, 17. Um, and we offered our agents really good tech and tools and systems, but we had a big vulnerability in our business because we just didn't have a great way to bring all of these pieces of tech into one spot. We would onboard an agent and then have them bookmark SkySlope and Ylopo and Follow Up Boss and all of these different things that we offered. So it was a disjointed workflow, and I recognized it was a pretty big vulnerability in our business if we really wanted to truly scale in a very competitive market. So StackWrap was really born out of necessity for my office. So we built kind of a V0 of StackWrap and launched it internally during sort of the height of lockdown, during the 60 days or the 45 days to sort of slow the spread, and everyone was in their house. So it gave me a lot of time to just work on something. So we launched we launched StackWrap at the end of 2020. And it worked really, really well. Agents were able to single sign on into, an ecosystem that had all of their tech implemented. The platform, talked to all of these other tools. So we were able to bring in data from Follow Up Boss, bring in data from SkySlope, sync their calendar, do basic things like that. And it just really allowed us to take that next step of evolution as a brokerage. So after kind of a year and a half of just utilizing it for my brokerage, I really thought there was a broader need for StackWrap across the real estate industry, right? Other teams, other brokerages out there are probably dealing with the same thing I was dealing with. So we made StackWrap a standalone company and product, and allowing other teams and brokerages to do exactly what the platform's meant to do. Right? Bring everything that you offer your agents into one spot.
Yeah, and as I'm visualizing, or as I was first visualizing something like this, I was just picturing like a Google Doc where you would just put links to something. So for people who are like me and like to visualize it, do you mind sharing what StackRap looks like? And once I saw it, I said, okay, no, this is a lot different than I was picturing. And yes, this is something that everyone needs.
Yes, of course. Let me share my screen here, and I'm happy to poke around. So, all right, can you see my screen here? Okay.
All good.
Got it.
Wonderful. So yeah, this is what StackWrap looks like from a user's perspective. Kind of the cool thing is that as we launched this about a year ago, with early adopter clients and brokerages throughout the country. And the cool thing is that no two StackWrap accounts really look alike, right? And that sort of speaks to how modular the platform is. And I may be using a completely different set of tools than another team, another brokerage. So what you're looking at here is just something that the the flexibility of the platform allows you to really just dictate, what do you want your agents to focus their attention on? What tools do you want to drive adoption to? What relationships, what do you want to bring visibility to? So this is what it looks like, at least for my agents. As I mentioned, it's all modular based. All of these, widgets on the homepage dashboard are connected to, a third-party tool in some form or fashion. But yeah, this is what the basic platform looks like.
Yeah. So Dan, I know that your background, well, for those who don't know who you are you the founder, co-founder of Happy Grasshopper? Do I have that right?
I am. Yes, I'm the founder.
Founder?
So yeah, Happy Grasshopper was started after I had a couple of exits right before I turned 40. And I've spent the last 15 years 100% in labor of love mode. And, I feel really I've got so much gratitude for people like Max who've, these smart, forward-thinking, go-getter entrepreneurs who have these wonderful ideas that I'm now in a position that I can really help bring to market and hopefully save them from having to go through all of the hardships that every new entrepreneur faces. No reason to relearn those lessons, right?
Yeah. So whenever you started working with Max to help develop StackWrap, I know that coming from Grasshopper, you work with a lot of agents and teams. How did you help Max kind of shape StackWrap into what it is today?
Well, first it was kind of like Entrepreneur 101. As a serial entrepreneur, you always want to validate a market first before you build a product. Max didn't start that way because he had a problem he needed a solution to. So the earliest versions of StackWrap were kind of built out of sequence to the way that I would normally start a new company. And of course, by the time I met Max, StackWrap had already evolved into a very usable product that was in place with every member of his brokerage, which was outstanding. So immediately my thoughts were, well, let's really explore the total addressable market for this product. Let's see what a go-to-market strategy might look like. And I just started making some introductions. Hey, would you be willing to take a look at something my friend Max is building? And from that, we very quickly realized that StackWrap has just tremendous amounts of potential. Tremendous amounts.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Max, let's dive in a bit into StackWrap and what an agent's view and daily workflow would be. When they log in, what should an agent do? What should their daily workflow be like when they go into StackWrap?
Yeah, so it can be a lot of different things, right? And I'll context this for my agents or the way that we're teaching and when we onboard new agents, this is sort of basic workflow. So first and foremost, one of StackWrap's biggest value propositions is its ability to integrate with a team or a brokerage's existing tools. So Follow Boss is one that we've been using forever. I know you're super familiar with that platform as well. So we've linked Follow Boss to StackWrap. So we're bringing in individual tasks, notifications, right, for that agent. And they're seeing those notifications as soon as they log in. So as the admin, I have this little edit mode. And this allows me to move all of these widgets around. I can resize these widgets. I can add new ones to my dashboard. But because Follow Boss is such an important, it is the foundation of our agents' workflow. We teach it all the time. So really, we want our agents to log in and first and foremost, see if there's anything that they need to handle with, buyer clients, seller clients, sphere of influence, people like that. So you can see here are all of my personal Follow Boss tasks, notifications. And the way we've built this is if I click on any of these tasks, it's going to bring me not only into Follow Boss, but into that specific lead's profile, where I can then, send a text, send an email, whatever correspondence I have to do happens within the CRM. So really our intention in building this out is, agents logging in, they're having their cup of coffee in the morning. We're going to give them a very nice overview about what's going on within your CRM. We also allow that company or that admin to build out any sort of tasks, right? So if an office is running like a 90-day challenge and they want their agents to complete, 10 different tasks associated with that, right? We're going to house all of those within this widget. So this is a very important widget. It's probably the most used one. But there's also very important things here. So after agent kind of goes through their CRM tasks, they can kind of get a glance at their calendar. Today happens to be a pretty open day for me, which is kind of weird. But we can map this widget to different calendar sources, so the agent can see all of their different events from multiple calendars. Kind of the next important thing is internal notifications. So we've built this in a way where it's kind of your StackWrap to StackWrap inbox. So as an admin, I can go into the back end here, and maybe I want to send a message to my entire office, right? Maybe I have a company happy hour on Friday, and I want to give my agents and staff awareness around that. I can also push that notification out as an email. I can also do things like create a pop-up announcement. So as soon as my agents are logging in, they're greeted with this announcement. So maybe I want to drive awareness to my ancillary services, like a title company or a lender that I have reciprocity with. So there's different ways to kind of draw your agents or any agent's attention to certain components. But the biggest thing is that people are logging into the system multiple times a day throughout the day. So as a company, you really have your agent's attention because they've got to log in here to access the tools that you offer them. So really kind of bringing that visibility to, right, CRM tasks, to calendar notifications, right, to your high priority tools that your agents are accessing throughout the day. So there's many, many different ways to kind of configure StackWrap to drive that agent awareness to really whatever you want them to pay attention to.
Yeah. What I loved that you showed me during our last conversation is how your brokerage customized the way that it looked and felt for different integrations on the left-hand menu when you opened up something. Like when you opened up YLoco, you showed people not only just the one-click login that was saved, but also like all of the best practice pages they should access and the training, and just how customizable this tool it really is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And
sorry, Max.
no,
Sorry,
go
but
for it.
one of the early things that I absolutely loved about the platform is, if you're a team owner or a broker owner, you're always providing tech to your agents and you're hoping that they use it, right? That's just such a common pain point among our brokerage clients. And what StackWrap does is it gives that single agent one place to start their day. Everybody just goes to stackwrap.com, they log in, everything that their team or their brokerage is providing is served up to them in a way that makes it really visible. So it drives increased user adoption. The broker, the team owner is getting a better return on investment for what they've already spent on. And even better, we can give them visibility into what is actually being used. I mean, think how cool that is to know for sure your agents really appreciate this thing because they're so consistently using it and accessing it inside StackWrap. It's like so many good things here.
Yeah, can you dive deeper into what Dan was sharing? What did you mean by that? Giving visibility into what is actually being used?
Totally. Yeah. So we've built this in a couple of different ways for what Dan is alluding to. So first and foremost, if I decide to, if YLopo comes out with maybe a training course or a new tool or something, and I decide to add that as an item, we're calling these things items here. I can very easily, as the admin, share this newly created item with either my entire office, with specific subgroups of users, like maybe this is just a tool for my Arizona agents. I can also push this out as an email, but I'm writing a little message here about, hey, YLopo just came out with this awesome new tool. Click here to check it out. If I hit send here, it's going to send all, whatever the recipients are, an email. They'll have a link. They'll click the link to be brought back into StackWrap to then, and that item is going to be highlighted and shared with them. So it's a way that a broker owner or a team leader, if you're adding things and trying to provide as much value as you can to your agents, right? Having the ability to share those newly created things with your office is a really, really big step in the right direction of just helping to drive agent engagement. Along the same lines is, as an admin here, I have kind of full control on a lot of different things. First and foremost, I have an activity log, so I can see every single time one of my users is in the system. This is actually something that we're evolving. So within the next couple of months, we will be, we email monthly reporting to all of our admin users. So if you've got, 400 people part of your office, we will show you every single time someone logged in a CSV file. The system will also engage with agents who are not logging into the system within about a week. So if it notices that, hey, this agent has not logged in, that agent gets a prompted email with their username, their password, a little blurb about the company, and it really encourages that fringier agent to log in and utilize the tools that the brokerage or the team is offering them and hopefully make them a lot more productive. So that's something fun that's been in the works here for a little bit of time. But also we're building in a heat map function. So this is sort of what Dan was alluding to. So not only as a broker owner can you see how many logins you got, when are people logging into the system, but you can also see what are they interacting with. So for example, if I'm paying, $1,500 for XYZ tool here, and I think it's awesome and provides my agents a lot of value, but, if I got 400 agents and I say, man, this only got 9 clicks out of, 400 agents in a 30-day period. Is this something I want to continue to still pay for? Are my agents not finding value in this? So you can make more critical decisions, especially around your finances and what you're paying for these super expensive tools, by just housing everything in one spot and then letting the system not only engage with your fringier agents, but really get that full insight into what people are actually finding value in from a tech stack perspective.
Yeah, that's super useful too, to not only keep agents accountable, like you said, but also to make sure you're not paying for something that you should be paying for. And
Yeah.
you can even drill down into like a tool like Ylopo. There's just so many layers to it.
Yeah.
So you might talk to an agent and see that they're clicking on the tool overall, but are they taking advantage of every little aspect that it has to offer? Like, sure, they may log in and use like the open house tool, but are they using the scripts available, or are they using listing flyers? Like, being able to ensure they're taking full advantage of it, or like the AI coach, or I'm just using this as an example because that's what you have pulled up here, but that applies to other conversion tools. Like if you use Real Scout, there are a lot of different tools that you can plug in as these custom links here to make sure that your agents are fully understanding what you're paying for them to use. Are they truly understanding what is available to them?
Yeah, and also along the same lines, like, the AI coaching is amazing that Ylopo offers. So, and people are hesitant to call an AI weird number and talk to, a robot and be, you still have some apprehension about that and like some performance anxiety. I know at least my agents do. But this is something that I think is so valuable to agents. Like you want to get your repetitions out, you want to get the the stumbles, right? And so this is an awesome tool that we're always driving our agents to. But again, like if I notice that this hasn't got a lot of engagement over the last 30 days, like I could share this with my office and just kind of gently nudge them to say, hey, really take advantage of this. I know it's super awkward talking to a robot, but this is good practice. I can also do things by saying, well, this is actually something I want to pin to the homepage dashboard, right? I want this to obviously live under the Ylopo category, but hey, like I think this should also have some visibility front and center as soon as an agent logs in. So I don't know if you caught it, but I clicked a little pin icon, which would then just pin it under this specific widget, this frequently used tools widget. So agents can kind of go through and, and this is something we're teaching our agents is, hey, always really pay attention to this widget because it is your most important tools. So there's kind of different ways that, you can really hack the system. But overall, right, they're logging in here to access their stuff. And again, that is a very, very valuable thing as a broker owner, especially if you're virtual or if you've got agents, in multiple cities and locations, right? You can't physically be everywhere all at once. So this is really a tool that helps solve that problem.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of agents that are in like multiple regions or even having multiple different kinds of teams, like you may have a transaction team, an
Yeah.
admin team, agents in different locations. Can you share how brokerages are customizing or teams are customizing this if like one agent team doesn't want to see certain links because they have to log into different platforms? How is that going to
Yes.
work?
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, such good questions. So there's sort of an easy way to solve for this and a slightly more complicated way. The more complicated way, our team handles it, but in the back end as an admin, I have the ability to create different roles and to also create different groups. So for my office, I have agents in Southern California, in Northern California, in Arizona, right, and weirdly in New York. But different groups of agents. So as I get my users into the system, I can then create all of my different subgroups that I want, and this basically correlates to who has access to what. So for example, if I go into a category or something, right, I'll just pick something at random. I have the ability to, define this specific item or the category. So if this is something that only my Northern California agents have access to, right, I can very easily define that on the back end here. So, my SoCal agents, my New York agents, they're not interacting or they don't even have visibility into a tool that's not really assigned to them. So that's super easy to do. The slightly more complicated way, and we have a handful of brokerages who are over 1,000 users in many different states, so they are a little bit more complex. So StackWrap as a system is built where you can have one master account. So this particular office I'm referring to has agents in New York, New Jersey, Florida, Maryland, a few other states, and they wanted the ability to have all of their parent tools populate to all of these different sub StackWrap accounts. But if Dan is running the Florida office, Dan needs the ability to not only access all of the parent tools, but then build in his regional specific tools or his team specific tools. So that's the slightly more complicated way, but it honestly it's us solving that problem from just a code-based perspective has really allowed us to have a lot more meaningful conversations on much larger, more complicated organizations. So we can really solve it two separate ways, but yeah, super flexible overall as a platform.
Yeah, if I just think of like my own personal use case, if you look at my desktop or my Google Chrome, like my bookmarks bar, I've got like 12 and then a drop down menu with 13 more, but I have no idea what half of them are and why I bookmarked them. I knew at one time they were important, but you can't put like a description or information. Like here, it's all clean. And plus I've sent my team links all the time and hope that they bookmark it. And sure, I'll send it in like an internal Slack or something and like pin the note in Slack or email them, but having it all here and clean is what's really going to ensure that there's adoption with everything you want them to be using. With StackWrap, what I love is that you have direct integrations with a certain number of technologies. So what sorts of third-party tools does StackWrap have direct integrations with?
Yeah. So, CRM tools, transaction management tools, Google, Microsoft, training platforms. This is sort of a list we are constantly adding to. Like pretty much every week, we're adding new integrations. And when a company or a team joins us, right, we're doing a full audit of their tools. We're seeing what we have native integrations with and what we have to build for, which our team has gotten very, very good and fast about building kind of native integrations. But because I've been in real estate literally my entire professional career, I have a really good sense of what tools people are using. So we've got the main basic ones covered. I'll just kind of use Follow-Up as my example. And we try to make it as easy as possible to connect your tools. I know this can be a little bit more of a complicated process if you're trying to figure it out. But once someone's a StackWrap user, it's really a piece of cake. So for Follow Boss, all you have to do is just enter in your subdomain of your Follow Boss account here. You paste in your API key. You can hit save. As soon as you hit save, the system automatically matches all of your users within FUB to all of your users within StackWrap. So super, super easy to connect any sort of tool that you may be using, just using our integrations feature.
Do you have information on like the average number of, or the average statistic of agents that use StackWrap within a team or brokerage? I don't know if you track that.
The adoption is very high. It's over. I think it's the last time we checked. It's about 91%. So once StackWrap is implemented, it's very, very hard to unring that efficiency bell, right? Like as long as that brokerage or that team is really teaching their agents to, hey, just go here, right? Like all you've got to do is just go to this one spot to access all your tools. It becomes very easy. And especially, if you're building out your onboarding steps, within StackWrap, if you're pushing out company notifications within StackWrap, if maybe you're housing your company happy hours that you want your agents to click an RSVP to. There's a lot of different ways that you can continue to drive awareness and, adoption to the platform. Like you got to log in here.
This is just a real world scenario. We rolled this out for a long time Remax brokerage client of mine. And, at every brokerage at scale, there's probably a full-time job who almost always gets asked the same questions 100,000 times a day. Like, where do I go to log into this? Where do I go to that? Where do I find this? Where do I find that? And the answer just becomes StackWrap, right? So very quickly, that person takes a bunch of their time back and everybody understands, oh, it's in StackWrap. Where do I find this? Oh, it's in StackWrap. What's the schedule for that? Oh, it's in StackWrap. And they get so accustomed to being able to find everything that they need there. Just the early reviews, the feedback I have from people I know personally for years and years and years about this product are unlike anything I've ever seen. It's astounding to me how quickly that behavior can change inside a team in a brokerage. So
That's so cool to hear.
Had to jump in, Max. Just excited about that.
Yeah. Max, I may be hallucinating or making something up. I think you said this on our last conversation that since you started StackWrap and you started onboarding clients that no one has canceled. Is that true? If it's not true, I can edit this out.
No, knock on wood. I'm trying to find wood somewhere, but yes, I mean, thankfully we have not had anyone cancel. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point in the future, but I mean, it's kind of twofold. I mean, we've been very intentional about, we're a pretty new company and we didn't want to scale too quickly, too fast. So we, at the beginning stages, we were very intentional about, reaching out to the right kinds of broker owners, team leaders, people we had pre-existing relationships with, and giving them the value propositions of what StackWrap is, and we really did a nice job of onboarding and sort of working out the kinks in the early stages. But I've been a real estate agent my entire career. I know the importance of customer service and just, so all of these things that I've just kind of developed over the course of my career have really translated quite nicely over in now PropTech. So, just making sure that these people that are using the product, like their feedback is heard. If they're thinking anything is weird or strange about the platform, we're intentionally reaching out. We're doing account reviews. So, we've been very good, I think, about just hearing that feedback and really evolving the product based on, what people are telling us they like and don't like about the product. So I think that level of customer service has really helped us not only retain our current user base, but also exponentially grow it. So, we haven't done any advertising. We haven't done any marketing. This thing has continued to grow by just word of mouth. So, we need to make sure we're doing a good job as a young upstart company. And that's kind of the cool thing. It's real estate professionals are building this product. It's not just outside, random technology folks who just want to kind of penetrate the real estate market for one reason or another. This was really built with intention and with that broker owner or that team leader in mind.
Yeah, that's cool. So what do you say whenever you're talking to someone about this? They say, "Oh, this looks so cool. Like we could finally have everything all in one place. I could set announcements, just tell people to go to StackWrap if they are looking for something." But I am worried. I have PTSD or buyer's regret from something else I've bought in the past. I think this might be a shiny object, and I'll regret seeing it in my bank statement. What do you say to folks who think, it might be useful, but it's just going to be one more thing added to my bill? What do you
Yeah.
say to them?
So here, this is what I always kind of correlate it to is like, think of all the things you're plugging in, right? Like and let's just take your office, right? You're plugging your computer like before a StackWrap implementation, right? You're plugging your computer in over here and your printer is on the other side of the room and your phone charger is around the corner, right? Down the hallway. And your lamp might be over there in the kitchen, right? So you're plugging all of your things in all over the place. It's disjointed. So what StackWrap is, it's a power strip, right? Like why don't you just plug all your things into one spot and just have it super easy, like ready to go, just right here in the corner, just plug, boom, 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 boom. So StackWrap isn't really another tool, and it's just really, hey, whatever you're offering, like whatever your tool suite is, this is just a thing to bring it all into one ecosystem. So it's much more of a practical platform versus anything else.
Very
So
much so. I might just add that we don't tend to hear the buyer's remorse thing because everybody starts free. They get a chance to get in there and bang around on it and make sure they love it before they ever spend any money on it. And I don't know. I don't know if there's a more clean way to help people get started easily than to just start for free.
that's true.
There you go. Yeah, very good. So, Max, Dan, thank you so much for doing this deep dive. I know that our clients really appreciate it. That you can learn so much more through this than a website that may seem like there's a little bit of mystery behind it. So I know folks will very much appreciate this. So if you want to learn more about StackWrap or sign up for the free trial, like might as well, I might do it right after this call. I will put a link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on social media, I'll be somewhere within the post. But Dan, Max, thank you so much for taking your time to share a lot about StackWrap. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.